Hey Theo, welcome back to the podcast. I know it
Thank you,
took a
thank
bit of
you.
a hiatus, but I figured, hey, feeling in the mood, welcome you back and get back in the swing of things.
I get it. You know what? I just realized I don't have my podcast pants on.
Podcast pants.
Yeah, my comfy pants. Like,
Okay.
yeah, hold on. Give me like 2 seconds.
All right. I guess this is a new thing, but having time away, I guess it gives you time to start new routines and have little rituals going. So, been feeling pretty good. Drinking some greens and some water, of course. But it's good to see you folks. Been MIA for a little bit, but all's well. All's well.
All right, we're back. We're back.
Back with the podcast pants.
Yeah, listen, I put his bad boys on. I feel like the world is all right.
Hey, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I don't think it has anything to do with like OCD. They're not really my podcast fans. They're just my comfy fans. And
Hey, well, one of the things it's funny, one of the things I learned from a welder, uh, one of the main things he said, the trick to welding was you always got to get comfortable. So it's like if you're going to do something right, you got to be comfortable. So
you
it's
got
like if you're going to be podcasting, you got podcast pants, throw them on.
listen, if anybody out there don't have their comfy clothes that they do what is it they're doing, that's probably why you're failing at life. Yeah. Let that motivate you real quick. Go find yourself some comfy clothes,
Yeah,
something that makes you feel nice and warm and comfy, and then go all in and do what you do. I mean, obviously work appropriate if you can, depending on
yeah,
what you do for a living. But
that's true.
yeah,
I guess for me, it's shorts. So especially during the summer, it's shorts and t-shirt. Feel pretty comfortable, pretty relaxed.
good. Listen, what as you should, because I keep my place right by like 68, 70. So I keep it nice and cool.
Yeah,
So sweats, hoodies, like that's my jam. Now
gotcha.
outside it might be like boiling hot, but
Right.
but inside, yeah, yeah, I got my hoodie on.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I know that was an abrupt start to the podcast.
You're
But
good.
it wouldn't be anything else if it wasn't abrupt.
How are things been for you? It's been a minute.
Man, things have been good, man. Been working a lot. Been working a lot. Been like really taking some time to not stress. And when I say like take some time, meaning like putting everything in its right perspective
Hmm.
for me anyway, whether it be relationships, whether it be work, whether it be just whatever else that I'm involved in. It's okay. Is this thing going to die if I don't do it, or am I going to die? I know this is a lot of extremes, but
That's a
um,
good place to start.
it's like work from there and then work back to the middle. Like if nobody's gonna die if I don't do this, then it's really not as important as I think it is.
Yeah.
And if this is just me wanting to get validation out of this, validation is important, but then it's not really that much of a priority.
Mm.
Is this thing going to not allow me to pay my bills? Like it, like I literally kind of filter a lot of things through that filter. I go from extreme to where I'm at, but
Hmm.
if it's not going to shift my immediate situation or my immediate life, then it's not a priority in that way that I'm trying to give it. So I take a step back and I realize, and that's with people too.
Right.
is this person okay? Are they on their deathbed? No. Are they in a crisis? No. Are they gonna be okay if I don't talk to them? Yeah, yes, they're gonna be okay if I don't talk to them. Oh, okay. Then they're still important, but not right now.
Mm,
And put that into perspective.
gotcha. Hey,
So
could I get you to rotate your camera?
so
Just like, yeah,
like
yeah,
you know what?
cool.
Yeah, but like that's what I feel. Am I still in a shot? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, you're still in there.
But yeah, that's what I feel like life has been. Um, it's been good, man. It's been really good. I can't say it's been bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
Things that have been good on my end, they've gotten better. I guess to your point of trying to put things in their proper place. It's funny, I went back to this book I was introduced to a few years back called No More Mr. Nice Guy. And I
Mhm.
think I was like listening to chapter 6 or 7, somewhere in there. And it was talking about, to your point, prioritizing your needs and kind of getting away from looking at selfishness as being a bad thing. And
Mhm.
especially when it comes to like the relationships you have with other people, it actually makes it better where whenever you might want to do something for someone else, like do it first for yourself. If
Right.
like, oh, I could, maybe somebody could use this or maybe somebody could do that. It's like if you do it for yourself and you take care of your needs, then that would free you up to um, do something for someone when they actually ask versus you do something hoping that someone else will pay you back, so to speak. So like on my end, it's been trying to establish like a ritual or like having activities like starting the podcast. So it's like, okay, maybe take a break from doing this after work. Found a jujitsu gym finally for from a
I remember you
suggestion.
telling me about that.
Yeah.
How has that been?
It's been pretty fun. Like one of the guys that I wrestled with, Spencer, and one of the guys that's actually there, he kind of reminds me of him. His name's also Spencer. But he told me about it, I think it was like back in January, February.
Yeah.
And then is literally I decided to find a place and go the day after my birthday back in April. And I was
Okay.
like, I'm gonna go check this place out. On that Wednesday, they had it to where it's like no gi, where you just wrestle or you grapple in shirt and t-shirt. So then you didn't really need anything. But then they have the gi, which looks like I guess I want to keep describing it as pajamas, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah,
similar thing that you'd see in judo or
yeah.
like you'd see in karate. They have the tops and the bottom, and they have extra clothing there that if you're coming in first, they'll let you try it out for free. Make sure you have the right size and things like that, and kind of show you walk through a class. It's maybe like a 45-minute class. They go through drills and you warm up at the beginning. The coach shows you different things, and you try to partner up with someone different so that you get to know the people that you're there in the room with. So it's pretty welcoming because for me, it's like having wrestled in high school and then going to this where you can do it from any age range and like your mobility is kind of based on like where you're at. If you're rolling with someone older, they're not gonna like spaz out on you and they're like, okay, like we're taking it easy. Like yesterday I went and I think I got caught in a submission like for an arm bar and it's like he started to crank and I'm like, I'm trying to tap, but usually everyone's pretty good about making sure that they take care of each other because it's like you're practicing hurting each other or strangling each other or hurting each other, but like you do it within reason where it's like there's times when you go live and then there's times where it's like, okay, we're just doing this for the experience. I'm going to let you practice this and I'm not going to interfere so much. But then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to resist it to where you don't just think you want to do this move and it's just going to be open right
Right.
there.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
it's been really fun, especially doing it, I guess you could say going on 2 months now and just having something to look forward to where it's like real time problem solving and then taking some of that confidence back home to where it's like, okay, I can show up to work, I can do an activity and be like, okay, here are the baby steps that I can take to achieve this goal. And even if I don't have anything right now on my plate, I can give myself something to do. And then so long as I can teach someone else what I'm doing, okay, that's like another skill that I acquired to learn it better. And it's
Oh,
like, oh, okay, okay. Like I saw him do it over there. And it's like, everybody got it, got it, got it. And it's like, go partner up with somebody. What do I do again? And it's like, okay,
how
talk
does
through it
that
with
go?
it's
Yeah,
like talk to through it with the other person, and then as the coach is walking around, they'll be evaluating what you're doing and be like, okay, hey, do this like this, and it's like, okay, there's real time feedback, and even if you're just getting beat
yeah.
every single round, you're like, okay, I go here, nope, you're tapping out over here, nope, 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 and it's like, okay, am I learning anything? And
Right.
then
It's like I
like,
feel like I'm just getting beat down. And what
yeah,
am I
yeah,
learning? Like,
but it's weird because it's like the main thing is like not to get discouraged, and
yeah,
everyone there is very encouraging, and you have like a blend of everyone, like college students, people that are in their 40s, 30s, both men and women. They have like a children's class before the adults class, and it's pretty much they I think it's available 6 days out of the week, so you've got plenty of time. So
that's
I've
nice.
I've tried a week or two to go every day, but sometimes I'm like, I might need a rest day to just recover. It's like I'm a little sore, but it's
Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, like we do stretching. You can go get a massage, or I'm like, oh, I've got the massage gun that I bought from years ago. Like try to use that, ice, heat, and it's just like a fun activity where it's like, okay, I'm learning how to do this. Here's how I'm gonna practice it, and it just brings that joy back would be the best way I could describe it. And looking forward to podcasting again, it's like, okay, I've been far enough away from it to where I miss it, and then trying to remember why do it in the first place. It's something enjoyable, get to catch up, get to see you, of course, and then kind of go from there.
I
Not make
like
too
that.
too much of a hassle from it.
I like that though, because it kind of sets the tone for like everything else that you do.
Yeah.
Okay, so because we're getting to this age, so I turned 40 in August,
Okay.
and I realized I don't have a tribe. Like I
Mhm.
don't have a group that I belong to. I don't have a yeah. I don't. You know,
Yeah.
I've been I could say like a prayer line, but I'm not on there enough anymore like I used to.
Mhm.
Um, but it's like a tangible group that you like can say, hey, me and the boys are gonna go watch the game,
Right.
at so and so's house, or we're gonna meet up at said bar or said restaurant and do something, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't have that. I realize,
That in-person contact.
right, like that in-person contact. Like I know people, but we're all spread out. But it's like that is one thing I realize as it's hitting me even now that the military gave me without
Mhm.
ever asking for it, and then it
Mhm.
took it away. It's like here's something you didn't ask for, but we're gonna take it back, and then you realize, oh man, I really like that was dope. But then like there's this part of me that's like, oh, do I really want to be part of a group though? It's like when I get off of work, I want to come home and not do anything.
Mhm.
Like I'm tired. But I'm also emotionally and mentally spent. Like I'm good. And then I realized, okay, maybe a sport,
Mhm.
maybe pickup game here and there. I don't play basketball like that. I'm terrible. Like
You and me both.
I would be the worst, the biggest disappointment. I will probably be like the juice was to me today. Somebody would look at me like, "Oh, you look athletic. You look like you can play. Don't let the bald head and the beard fool you. I'm terrible." Um, yes, I'm black and I'm terrible at basketball, but it's like, so what? So I realized pickleball.
Mm.
Don't know anything about pickleball, but I
Yeah.
want to try it. It looks fun. It
Yeah.
looks it looks like you don't have to exert a whole lot of energy, but you also don't have to belong to a club to be able to like enjoy it. You can play with whoever's available and then go home.
Right.
Like I'm like I could do pickleball. I could definitely do pickleball, but I haven't made time to go and explore where and who and what is out here in town. But I'm thinking that's gonna be my next venture. Like I think I'm gonna explore that in my 40s.
Yeah.
Uh, um, but I also realize like when I get home from work, I'm enjoying the simple, monotonous little things like sweeping the floor, cleaning, vacuuming. Mine like because I get it, I get home roughly by like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. My
Mm.
neighbors probably hate me because like my little vacuum is going. Because to me, I'm like, yeah, I like it. It's the settle down is like the the cleaning is soothing. It's like I don't know if it's because the older I get, or I don't know because I'm setting a routine, but I'm starting to find that more enjoyable
Yeah.
sometimes than say interacting with people. But I think this kind of goes back to because my therapist asked me once, she was like, how does Theo take up space?
Mm.
I'm like, I don't know. I I was never taught to take up space. I was always taught to kind of just bow out and not really take up much space, be as small as possible, and not add chaos to anything. And so there's like figuring out at this age how to take up space in your own space.
Yeah.
It's wild. But I'm also having fun doing that. So like that's something new that is, as I'm even telling you, like that's occurring to me, like, dang, like it feels good to be able to walk into a space and not have to shrink.
Not have to what?
Not have to shrink.
Gotcha.
Not
Right.
have to
Right.
like have to, oh excuse me, pardon me. Like, no,
Yeah.
it's your space. And so which, when she asked me that, it kind of reminded me, even to this conversation, like you going to do something for yourself. That is how Asher is taking up space in his own life. Like you're you're going to gain experience doing this activity so you can come home and take up space differently,
Yeah.
and actually enjoy what you're doing differently. But I think what tends to happen is I don't think a lot of us know how to take up space in our own in our own lives without having to rely on somebody else to do it. And
Yeah.
so all that to say, getting old has been interesting. I'm glad I'm gonna be 40. I'm glad I am able to live and see this age.
Hmm.
Man, I'm curious. Like I'm curious to see what happens. like I
Yeah.
like you watch other people who are way older than you, and you're just like, man, how did you manage to go through that situation? How did you manage to live this long and not die? Like I know that sounds terrible. It sounds crazy. It sounds crazy. But it's like, so you've just been living? Like, you know what I mean? And so side note, like that's kind of how I look at parents. I'm like, how did you keep that human alive
Mm.
all their life? They didn't die. Like you did a great job. Like, this being Father's Day, I'm always kind of, I'm like, I'm just reminded, like watching some of my boys like have kids, and like, I'm like, dude, you're a dad. Like, you're an idiot, but bro, you're a dad, man. Like I love you, bro. You're a dad. Like you have a human depending on you. Like
Yeah,
and these are some of the best people that I've been around. But like when we're together, we're just idiots. Like we just goofballs. But
right,
then to
right.
think beyond our moment as goofballs, and I'm like, bro, you're a dad, man. Like you're keeping like another little human alive, or you're helping keep another little human alive. And their kids are now like high school age. And I'm like, bro, they're at the age that we met.
Mm,
Like you managed to keep a kid alive. Like like I look at parents as like superhuman beings, man. Like the ability to do that, to me, that's dope. But it just this whole getting older thing, man, it's interesting. I'm curious to see what happens next.
yeah, I think that's a good perspective. It's funny because like as I'm getting older and even as you mentioned, like speaking to a counselor, like I remember the last session that I did here recently is one of those things where at the end of the session, it was just like, your homework is to figure out what you want. And I almost felt like,
Oh,
okay, well, I'm like, okay, I feel like maybe I kind of rambled there at the end. But then when I thought about it, I'm like, I do know what I want, but I spent maybe 30 minutes talking in circles about nothing that really mattered. And
mhm.
it's like, it's so easy to make things complicated where it's, okay, what am I here to do? Is
Yeah,
it, I'm just here to do one or two things versus you have all these options now where it's like before you didn't really have options. It's just, okay, you're doing this
mhm.
to the best ability of what you know. But now with everyone having an opinion and you needing to know about everybody's opinion. It's like some things, like maybe the less opinions you have, the easier it is for you to make a decision to be like,
Yeah,
hey, this is how I'm gonna do life to the best of my ability, and then figure it out from there. If at the end they write it up and just like you're a new story or whatever, it's like, okay, so be it. Otherwise, it's like you can just be paralyzed trying to anticipate what other people are gonna think about you and like time just goes on. And
yeah,
that's it. It's like it's like what can I say from the time that we met or from before then, from like living where I am now to when I was here before. And it's like time went on and
yeah,
like thankfully took advantage to like do activities, go places, try things out. And it's like, okay, well, like these things happen. And even if the podcast thing didn't come back, it'd just be like, I did
yeah.
start it. I like
Like,
it
man,
started, it stopped, it happened. And
but I
it's
think
like,
that's the thing, though, bro. I think everything has a life cycle.
yeah,
Like even the podcast is like if this was your last episode that you're ever gonna do for your own podcast,
mhm,
that's okay because that means it started and it ended. I remember when you did like 100 episodes, like your goal was to like, okay, I'm gonna stay consistent for X amount of episodes,
yeah, yeah,
right? And you did that, like that life cycle came and went, and that was like, you could have stopped there and been like, I'm okay with it,
right,
because like
right,
in essence, like you initially started it not to do 100 episodes. You initially started it because it's something that you were like, you know what, I want to do this. Like I think the pandemic had just started.
right, right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And
And
even
so,
as soon as the pandemic kicked off, I was like, uh, I
well,
recorded a bunch that I
yeah,
can put
it's
out,
like,
but I was just like kind of in a, I don't want to do this. But
right,
then it's like circled back around to it by the end of the year when it's like, nobody really knows what's going on. And like you just listening to people's opinions in echo chambers where it's like, okay, well, like, why not share what you've already done or at
right,
least respect the people that it was done for? But
right.
even
And
to your point, it's like this, obviously, this is different than keeping a human alive, which
right.
it is a big deal. It's not like, oh, okay, hey, we're on season 6 of Friends or something like
Right.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
Versus,
yeah.
like, I mean, granted, a TV show is you kept those relationships or those people stood themselves they were able to like work around each other or whatnot, but
Right.
not the best analogy.
But I get it though. I get it. I get it because it also is that I was able to keep something alive for the lifespan that like I gave it. Like
Yeah.
it, okay, cool. Like now it's over. I can literally put it, shelf it, and say, yeah, I've done podcasts. Yes, I've done X, Y, and Z. Yes, uh, I wrote a book. Yes, I wrote a song. Yes, I wrote like all those things. Like those things have their own life cycle. Now, I didn't write a book, nor did I write a song. But I'm saying, like for those who you know who are like the one hit wonders. It's like
Yeah.
some things are for that moment and not to be able to continue, and that's okay. And um, I think the expectation, especially in the world that we live in now, where everything is monetizable and money's literally like everything apparently.
Yeah.
Um, like we want to monetize everything. Some things are just not monetizable. Like
Yeah.
some things are just not meant to be monetized, and that's okay. And I think when we try to monetize something that we personally did for ourselves,
Hmm.
it never turns out the way that we think it's going to turn out. And then it's like, hey, you wrote that book because you had it in you. It's not for anybody else.
Mm.
But again, back to one of the episodes that we did about hustle, about the hustle culture, like
Yeah.
which adjacent note with a side note. There's a lot of conversations that you and I have had years ago that are now starting to become trendy. And I'm
Mm.
like, me and Asher talked about that like 4 years ago. Like hustle culture just being a farce, like this whole entire mentality of like, oh, got to do it yourself, self-made. Like we talked about that,
Yeah.
and it's funny to see certain conversations cycle back and say, man, like we messed up, like we were wrong, like hustle culture is terrible, like that's bad for you. Like, well, um, yeah, you're not supposed to have curated lives like that. Like that's not possible.
Well, I mean,
Like
it's like I guess to your point, things do go in cycles, but at the same time, it's funny because it's uh maybe it's a thing of like intention where we're having a conversation one on one versus like somebody may have the same conversation, but now they say, okay, I up the production or put it on a platform to where more people can consume it. And it's one of those things where it's funny where you can make something for yourself or you can make something for other people. And so long as it's something that you can continue to produce and people continue to be hungry for it, it's like you build a fan base and like a fandom, and people are like just craving this thing, no matter whether it's like 5,000 people, 50,000 people, whatever the number may be. But it's weird where like sometimes there's this tipping point where someone has something that they made personally for themselves, but it's like if you make something for people and like people grow really attached to it, and then all of a sudden it's like you stop or you try and go back and mess with it, people are like, the hell are you doing?
right,
Like
like
that
no,
that
leave it
was
alone.
yeah, it's like leave it alone, or like we want more of this, and the person is like, oh, I'm tired, I'm tapped out. I was like, tired, tapped
Yeah.
out, like
Well, yeah, then you should have never introduced it to us, and now you become the villain. It's
right,
like, what do
right.
you mean? What do
It's
you
like you
mean?
gave us the good stuff, and then now you're gonna take it away. Like, what are
Right,
you doing? So
right.
it's funny how with the internet things like that play out, and whether it's like a song, a movie, piece of art or something that people make, it's on one hand it's fun to interact with some of those things, and then on the other hand, like having like tried to make something myself and seeing like, okay, well, it would be nice to like monetize something, but then also making peace with like, okay, I wanted to do something, I started it,
Yeah.
I took it on for its life cycle and it did what it did, and I'm like, I'm okay with that. Like
Yeah.
maybe I think I was talking to you or maybe to somebody else. I was like, if I'm gonna if I'm gonna make this thing work differently, I need to have a different approach on it. Like maybe think about it and see like, okay, what's the best path forward? But then it's like if it's not clicking, maybe like give it a rest. Like maybe don't try so hard. But
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, how else are you going to be good at something? It's you watch somebody else that's good at what they're doing, or they're having some level of success, or if it's like if they create something and it gets some return, it's like, okay, maybe I copy that. And then from like playing a little bit of copycat, you can develop your own thing to be like, okay, this kind of works. But to your point, I just thought it's funny having that something that someone holds near and dear to them versus something that people are like um
Like starving for.
craving for.
Yeah.
And it's just seeing that dynamic sometimes. It's like, well, that's part of the intention. And then at the same time you see like where if they're like that's it folks, that's all I had. It's like, all
But
right.
okay, so I'm realizing, and this is Theo's opinion,
Mm,
just my opinion. I'm realizing that most people suck. Like they're not that good at what they do, even when they try at it. Is just they either have really good systems that allow them to continuously churn out the mediocre stuff, but because it's in front of everybody, people think it's good.
mhm.
But it's like fast food. It's terrible. It sucks. But man, is it good when you're hungry and you have nothing else to eat? But because it's in your face, it's on every corner, and it's like so. It's not that it's good. It's just that it's in your face more.
I mean, it depends on what you're talking about. Some people might
Well,
say it's like Popeyes has their moments,
right,
Churches,
right. But I'm saying like
Chipotle,
it's like
Chick-fil-A.
the overall content of it isn't that
Oh,
great
you're
for
saying,
you, or isn't
oh,
that
I
useful,
got you.
or
I
isn't
got you.
right.
You're like, you might be taking in a lot of sodium, but you're not thinking about
Right,
that
right.
when
Like
you're
you're not
like,
thinking about that as well.
I want that piece.
Like substance wise, it's like oh garbage, but it's like because it's in your face more,
Yeah.
and it's like I've met people who have never had said food,
Hmm.
and and they can't imagine how it will taste, and then they have it's like no, it's terrible, but everybody else in that area because that's all they're used to, they're like yo, that's the best restaurant in town, and you're
Yeah.
like how? How is that
Right.
the best
Right.
restaurant in town? Like it's terrible. Like y'all have never had a pizza from up north.
Right. I
Like
see what you mean.
so it's like because it's in your face more. So it's like and somebody I seen a clip of somebody talking about this too, where like I said, I think it's that dude, Marco So Funny or something like that. He's a dude that asks the dumb questions and it kind of just acts dumb through the whole entire thing. Like he doesn't,
Is he like deadpan face?
yeah, like black dude with like crazy hair. Like I can't remember his name, but he was doing an interview like when he was actually legitimate, like not in character, and he was like, "It's like no, like it's not about being good. It's about how much are you in people's faces.
Mm. Right. Right.
When you start to be in people's faces and become familiar, they start to take onto you, and you become part of their lives, and now they consume your content.
Right.
So he's like, you don't really got to be that great,
Mm.
and it's like and that hit me. I was like, yeah, it's like most people are mediocre at best. And even the ones who think they're good at what they do, they're really not that great. They're just they have a system that has worked and a system that allows them to churn out more work than anybody else. Maybe their work ethic is great,
Mm.
but in that way that it's like they have a really great system.
Right.
And you could be actually the best, but without a system, you're not gonna like nobody's gonna know. And so I think that's why Fast and Furious has now came out with however many movies.
I was gonna say I think I stopped at six or so.
I
That's
got that too,
yeah.
maybe three. I don't know, but that's and it's like no shade to Tyler Perry. That's why Tyler Perry, he's got a system that churns out the same plot line of
Yeah.
movies, but everybody's like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing. No, it's not. It's the
Yeah.
same recycled like line. There's traumas involved. Guy meets girl,
Hmm.
girl falls in love. They get married. She finds God. They go to church. Movie is like you can literally see the plot line. This is funny because
Hmm.
this is like an adjacent note. It's either dark skinned dude is treating girl bad,
Yeah.
right?
That
Light skinned
describes a
dude comes
Tyler
into the
Tyler
picture,
Perry movie pretty well.
right? Light skinned dude comes into the picture. Girl falls in love with light skinned dude. Light skinned dude takes her out of her situation. They trauma bond. They
Hmm.
get married and live happily ever after. And in there, Medea's is sprinkled left and right somewhere in there, right? That's the whole entire plot line.
Yeah.
There's heavy trauma. It's like he follows the same hero's journey all the way through. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
like can't be mad at the man because he has a formula that works because for his audience. And so it's like when you look at the movie, I'm like, that movie's so low budget, but it hits home for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And the wigs are terrible. So it's like, so I just say that because it's like, wow, it's not that his movies are better than anybody else. He has a system that works that allows him to churn out more movies, more content. So his systems are great. Maybe his movies are terrible, but his systems are great.
Yeah.
So it's like the more you're in people's faces, the greater you become. And so it's like you don't you don't have to be good at what you do, just have have better systems. And I'm realizing that even back to getting older, like when like they say, keep living, you know, you start to see the same plot line repeated over and over again in life, and you're like, oh, so it's not that it's good or bad,
Yeah.
it's a systemic way that this thing keeps happening. Oh, okay. Like I think once you realize that, you start to look at things like, oh, yeah, that happened there. That happened there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
That's a
I don't
good.
know. Yeah, I don't know what landed me on that, but in my
No,
head,
I like that because it's funny. I watched an interview yesterday or the day before with Talib Kweli and
mhm.
the guy that played Urkel. I'm blanking on his name.
Gillette White.
Yeah, Jaleel White. And
Yeah.
it's funny, like having heard of the names, not necessarily growing up with them, but seeing things interspersed here and there. And Jaleel White, he was basically talking about his experience because I guess Talib is a big TV show, movie. So he really did his homework for their conversation. And basically, is it Talil or Khalil? Talil Urkel?
Oh, Jalil.
Yes, Jalil. So basically, he was describing how his time was in playing Urkel and how the executives kind of what their thought process was and how they were like, okay, hey, here's how we're going to build a show. And living out there in Los Angeles or like around Hollywood, it's whatever they were putting on the billboards, you would think that was the number one show. But it's like at the time he was on one of the top shows, but it's like it's the ones that were 2, 3, 10. That's what they're promoting. So it's like it gives you this illusion of like this is what you should be liking. But it's like, okay, well, you like the people that are promoting it have this system that works for them that help them kind of tell people this is what's important. But him being like having parents that are looking out for his education, saying, hey, this is the system that we're going to work. And yes, he's understanding that, okay, I play this character. After that, I'm going to continue working. I didn't know that he did the voice for Sonic the Hedgehog
Hey,
and
neither.
like, and all these different things. And like having some of those conversations or being able to listen to those conversations randomly when they pop up on YouTube or if they pop up on a clip here and there, it's like, oh yeah, I can be selective of things. And even when it comes to like the martial arts thing
Mhm.
or just different conversations that people have. And sometimes I'm like, okay, maybe this person, this talking head's getting on my nerves. So I'm going to just, I'm like, I'm not going to go in the comments or I'm just not going to give it more attention. I'm like, if this is annoying me, if this is going to ruin my day, if this person is just saying the same old BS, like this, you click on this person, you click on that person, and they're all saying the same thing. And it's like, oh, like no one's having an individual thought. Or even like if somebody has the thing they've done for like 30 years or so, it's like, yeah, people kind of tend to repeat themselves. And if I don't want to watch 30 or 50 videos of the same person saying the same exact thing, it's like, okay, they do things that are more topical. So if I want to know about this topic, let me spend a little bit of time with that. But instead of like binging this thing, like, oh, I got to get all this information in 1 month or in 4 months, like a college semester, it's like, okay, no, no, like,
No, like yeah, like
I don't want
you're
that right
selective.
now. It's like
Yeah,
maybe for the martial arts, because like there's belt tests and things like that. Let me put my attention there where it's something I can engage and play
yeah,
with.
yeah.
But where it's going to be me just listening to someone's ideas, and if they just drown on, and I'm like, the
Like
more I'm listening to you, you're like,
I'm
you're
like,
just pissing me off. I'm like, I'm mad at your face. I'm mad at like,
I'm just mad at
I'm just
everything.
mad at everything. And I'm like,
Ah.
let me, I'm like, let me just log out.
No, but
let me
okay.
just go sit in quiet for a minute.
So when you say that, and I think this is well known and well documented. Don't quote me on it,
Mhm.
but so you know how a lot of the personal development is relatively all the same.
Yeah.
Like this is a rinse and repeat. So the Carnegie family started it. Not
Mhm.
like Dale Carnegie. I think he might be part of the family, but like the dude who the Carnegie Hall is named after.
Yeah.
That family came up with the system of personal development,
Yeah.
and they sold it. So when you say there's not an individual thought, there really isn't. It's individual stories told through the Carnegie thought,
Mhm.
but there's no original thought. Like
Well, I mean, maybe are you saying specifically when it comes to the
specifically,
personal development?
yeah, specifically
Gotcha.
coming to from into personal development system, if you will, because once you step outside of that and you go say like and start to learn about like Eastern philosophy, and you're like, wait, this is where they got it from.
Mhm.
So like you start to trace certain thought points to a lot of not even biblical, but that precede biblical time.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, so it's not really original, if you will, because it's
Mhm.
like, okay, even which even on the biblical tip is it's like when you read all the other religions, books, they're all the same with
Mhm.
just different narratives. And and in this conversation, the guy said, it's crazy to think that only one people think that their stuff is original versus because they have never read anything else to let them know that hey, this is not original. Like this is the same stories, but from different perspectives. But then like it makes you sit and think is like, oh, maybe the reason why certain things or people do sound annoying is because they're repeating the same thing somebody else said, and
Mhm.
there's no original thoughts. And I was just thinking, I was like, dang, wow. Like it made me reflect to what I've read, to what I've written down. I have little notebooks of things that are written down. I was like, oh, those are original thoughts. Those were my thoughts.
Mhm.
I do have original, but the minute I start to consume, You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, yeah. Once you start taking in other stuff, it's
yeah,
almost
like you
like,
start taking
wait,
like and you
did I?
dilute your own self, and you're like, wait a minute, that's not what it was. But it just, I don't know, it just made me think of like the cyclical aspect of just everything else. And you're like, wow, this is going to run its course. It's going to come back around.
Yeah,
Um, and it's okay if it's over.
yeah.
Like it's okay if this phase of my life is over. Like I'm getting ready to start a new phase. I've never been 40. So I'm
Mm,
getting ready to start a whole entire new, the 30s were cool. All right, cool. The 20s were cool. 10s, a little different. But but you know what I'm saying? But it's like like there's a different excitement and curiosity of like what's coming next.
yeah. Well, I mean, what's funny to that point, it's almost like we look forward to like the age milestones, but there are things that stand out as true. And maybe it's like it might be a marketing thing or one thing that's attractive or what sells or resonates with people. Where if you say something's original, or every time someone has like Eastern philosophy, on the one hand, people are like, ooh, that's attractive. That's like the new kid on the block. That's the new item. But then it's like, okay, if you look at people are claiming things to be Eastern or some things to be Western, it's like, yeah, there are like different thought patterns. At least when I was kind of like, I think I mentioned like the Bima, that was kind of my introduction to seeing, okay, there's this. And then if I back up a little bit, I'm like, okay, there's world history that I learned in high school and then what I learned in college. And that was the big difference there for me was almost like for the first time being introduced to the story, like the creation story, seeing
Mhm.
that, okay, outside of Genesis, there were other creation stories. But then instead of having to argue which one's right, it's just like, hey, do you notice the similarities or do you notice like
Right.
why this is done? And having an understanding of like, okay, whether this is right or wrong, understand the intention of the author. What point are they trying to get across? And I think sometimes it's like that's where people kind of talk past each other,
Mhm.
because I think last time we talked about like the maybe victimhood or things that people put on where it's like, hey, I'm either the best, like I'm right, everybody else is wrong, or I'm being
Right.
put down. And like it's almost fun in a way where it's like everyone has their drama. There's like the housewife drama, now
Yeah.
there's like the religious drama, there's the church drama, there's the sports drama. And it's like it's something that sells. It's like a fight where people are like, oh, like something's happening, we've got to go check this thing out. And what's interesting about that, it's like what's funny, even trying to tie in the personal development piece where you talk about it's a proverb that says that someone's account seems good until someone else gives an account. So like someone can give their perspective, but as soon as someone gives like an opposite or a perspective maybe on the same topic, it's like, oh, now you're kind of giving my brain something to wrestle with, to where it's like I can't just go off of this person's word because they were first. And it's like um I guess elections just passed, so everyone was saying if this person wins, this is going to go crazy. And now it's like, okay, it went in this other direction. And it's like, okay, this is going and that's going. And it's like the closest I'm following to the news is maybe scrolling on YouTube. And there's always like a news section there. And I might read the headlines, but I'm like, I'm not clicking on these because I don't want it to fall into my algorithm. And then that's the new
Mhm.
headline. But I'm like, I can scroll and read past it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm sure people that are working in the news, they're happy because they're getting like business is probably doing better. And it's like you've got stories that are going. On the other hand, it's like you have what would you say, like comedians seem to be like this thing where all of a sudden they're always like the court jester, all of a sudden they have this, they're new media moguls, or like now they're like, oh, we're the top assassins. And you hear someone that's like great at storytelling or great
Yeah.
at telling jokes now claiming to be like on par with like a scientist or this or that. It's like, hey, we're all part of the body, so to speak, and like we all have a different function, but let's not act like, oh, like you're a comedian, you're not in the military. You're not going and it's like they have this thing of like, oh, we're murdering, we're killing. It's like you're not yes, you have people busting their guts and laughing, but you're not physically going and wounding people. Like let's dial it back a little bit. Like it sounds good using this lingo, that lingo. You get into this interest, that interest, but it's like just roll it back a little bit. But the thing that's funny about that is that you have people that have developed almost what would they call it? Check like channels that check them. They might be like meme channels or people that are like cringe. Always like, oh, let's watch these guys try to make themselves bigger than life and like let's laugh at it. And then people kind of gather around that and it's like it's a fun thing where it's like you're getting a little bit too high for your britches. So let's cut you down to size a little bit. And of course, is like you can't take in too much information from like the mass of people. So it's like whatever resonates with you, it might hurt your feelings, or you might kind of go sit in an echo chamber and just listen to everybody kind of agree with you. Is like, oh, I'm always right.
Right.
And
No,
it's like, nope.
well, that's I think that back to the earlier point, like the tribal ordeal, I think that's human to try to find a tribe that you feel safe in, a tribe that you are a part of, but also that you are adding quote unquote value to, not any tribe that you're detracting value from.
Yeah.
So when I see, or maybe that's low key, like maybe that's why I'm just in a place where I don't want to take in too much of anything, um, because it's like the information overload.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm gonna go on a tangent here, but maybe that's why they didn't allow people to read back in this.
You got to flesh that out for me. Keep going. Keep going.
You know what I'm saying? Like, like when you think of like the kings and queens, it's like only the highly educated could read and inform the people, right?
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden now everybody started reading, and now we have too much information out there. But it's like you realize that even I can even say about you and I, it's like just because we are able to talk about something doesn't make us right or wrong. It just means you and I want to share a story. You and I want to have a conversation about something that is on our minds. But you're right. When people with mics start talking as if they are experts on X and Y and Z that is happening, it's like, bro, you didn't study geopolitical systems. You,
Hmm.
you could talk about it because you Googled it, and you're reading off a script, but you don't know nothing about it. You've never, whatever. It's like, yeah, just because I was in the military does not make me an expert on military systems or military personnel, or you know other parts of the military. No, it just I was in it, but does not mean I know everything about what's happening in the world, or know about why such and such is doing such and such. And so I'm like, just because you have a mic does not make you right. You okay?
Yeah, you're fine. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out what's going on outside my door. I'm like, I couldn't tell if someone was like dragging something across the sidewalk or what's going on. I'm
I mean,
sorry.
last time because you had a pizza delivery guy come through.
No,
So
well, I'm not. I told you earlier. I had plenty to eat beforehand. I just, as you were talking, I just keep hearing this thing kind of grow closer and closer, and I'm like, what's going on? You're good. Sorry.
oh, okay. No, 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 no. Like that's
I know
safety.
my eyes are starting to dart all over the place, and I'm like taking out my earphones, like,
It's like,
what
wait,
is
is there a
that?
storm? Is there like a crash and burn somewhere? There's like, what's happening?
It's sunshine. I
Everything's
I
good.
heard voices. I know initially when I moved in, a maintenance guy came by thinking that he had to recoat the walls, and I was like, nope, not this apartment. It's like just got moved in.
It's like, I'm
Boxes are
good.
here. I just
I'm good.
unloaded.
I'm good. But no, it's like just because you have a tool does not make you a craftsperson. You have a hammer does not make you a carpenter. You have a mic does not make you, you know what I'm saying? But I think when we have digested so much information and we start to regurgitate it, it sounds cool. It sounds good.
Yeah,
Sounds we know what we're saying, but it doesn't make us people who have actually lived those experiences. And so I, and that's why I'm careful as to you know I know I send you a bunch of random memes here and there, actually probably all the time, maybe too much, but that's your fault. You know, of things that I find funny, interesting, or like thought provoking.
yeah,
But it's one of those things. It's like digest it, let it out. Like it isn't for me to keep. It isn't for me to adhere to. It's just like, huh, that's a great piece of information I didn't know existed.
hmm,
Now I've heard it. I want to share it. Here you go. It's like, do it with what you will. But there's some people who are convinced that what they're saying is 100% facts because they did a research that was very linear
hmm,
to prove their point. It's like, no, your research only proved your point. It didn't prove the whole entire like argument.
yeah,
Um, like I heard once, like a great defense attorney knows the other side of the story too. Like they know how to defend against because they've studied the notes from the other side. So it's like you can't tell me that this is if you don't know the other side of the argument, you can't tell me that you are 100% correct. Yeah, you're 100% correct according to your research,
yeah,
but not according to the whole entire like entirely of the truth. And so I just think it's the information age has emboldened us people
hmm,
to think we're that we are bigger than we really are. And I think there's a level of humility I feel like is coming in a way that we're gonna find out quickly that we're not as smart as we think we are. We're not as great as as we think we are, and it's gonna stun a lot of people.
yeah,
And I'm only saying this because like I'm aware of AI. I'm aware of what is happening. I don't know everything about it, but I do know. A lot of major corporations and companies are starting to really worry about their information because it's one of those like, oh, this one system can do so much more than say Google.
hmm,
Now what?
yeah,
Um, and it's like the information age has put us in a very tight place because it makes us think that we're right. Um, but we never extend a human connection to anybody else to say, you know what, maybe there's a part of it that I'm missing. Maybe it could be wrong.
yeah,
Let's look at this information together and see what we can agree on it or disagree on. It's I'm right, you're wrong. It has to be I'm right, you're wrong. It has to be all of that. But it's like no, it really doesn't. I think that's why for me being in groups or being part of communities is great, but man, it could be so dangerous too because now you get this mono thinking because everybody else because you want to be part of that tribe so bad that you just kind of just immerse and
yeah,
and you've been in situations where that could be the truth, right?
yeah.
But it's like,
I mean, I think to your point, it's 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 interesting because like you said with getting older I feel like maybe that's just the theme because it's on one hand as soon as you said it I thought to myself it's like if you're in some cases like you have to be willing to like I would say maybe you have to be willing to dilute yourself or maybe lie to yourself to be like, okay, this is the mission. This has to be the focus. I'm
Mhm.
doing this to make ends meet. Sometimes it might be that you're not, I don't know if I'd say you're operating on a moral compass, or it's like you have a mission in mind, everything else is a distraction to that. So
Mhm.
it's not really a thing of like morality. It's a thing of here's what I want to get done. And a lot of times people maybe from the outside looking in are thinking, how could you do this? Like if you're watching reality TV
Mhm.
and like you understand like how they have their system set up where it's like you have camera people following them around and then they'll take it up, they'll cut it up, edit it, and they'll tell a story in a way to where we're watching and it's like this person's crazy. And it's like while they're in it, they're not really necessarily seeing that. And like
Yeah.
they could be playing things more up and up. But then on the other hand, it's the I think maybe it was what universities or um, thought groups were meant to be, where it's like you're able to challenge opposing ideas without having this absolutism. But it's like at the end of the day, we have to move forward with something. We have to have like a standard or things. And it's like, yeah, you get more information, you get more voices involved in the conversation, but then it's like um when things come to like jokes, funny memes, things like that, it's like okay, like we kind of take some of the the restraints off of this. This might be really bad, but it's going to make you laugh, bust a
Right.
gut. But it's like if we're trying to do something serious, kind of hold uphold some standards, even still have some lightheartedness in there. It's things you can't account for, but you want people that are professional to be professional. But a lot of times, it almost seems like things have really turned into a whole reality TV where, like, during the pandemic, everybody came about this thing like freedom of speech, from
Mhm.
where it's like people were maybe villainized or felt a way, but like some things have kind of course corrected, but some people that have found attention in their niche have continued like just full steam ahead going down that way. And it's not until seeing someone actually criticize someone that presents themselves as like they're an expert. And now, as I keep watching, just like out of curiosity, out of like wanting to see something different, like wanting to hear a different voice, and I was like, you know, I watched this episode. I couldn't really figure out what was going on, but this person kept using these big words, and it's like, this is a dum dum. Like the whole Terrence Howard had come out with this thing where he did an episode on Joe Rogan, and he was talking about like this shape and that shape, and then you go to someone that's explaining like basic physics, and they're like, well, you're not using these terms or terminology. You're just kind of making stuff up. And like you're pulling this word over here because it sounds artistic, and you're pulling that word over
Mhm.
there. And it's like you have this person that's like a grifter. You have that person that's a grifter where it's like, I'm an expert in this. I'm the only one that can do this. It's like, oh, there's a telltale. And then you pull into that the self-development where it's like, okay, you have a lot of principles that are biblical or they come from like the Carnegie family, but they all kind of hit on the same topics. And I think I'd like Mel Robbins, I'm familiar with her, but like I saw someone criticizing one of her recent books where it's like Let Them. And I listened to a little bit of her book where like through somebody else. And I was like, oh, I'll listen to it. But like the thing was so repetitive. And I'm like,
I got
I've
to
all,
chapter one. I got to
yeah,
chapter. I was like, no, no. I was
right.
like, I was
And
like,
I keep meaning to return the book because I'm like, how many like the way that I saw that book was the way that I saw I think it's the only Tony Robbins book that I got, which was about money or something around like 2008. And he just spent like a whole chapter just going on and on. I was so mad. I was so mad that I'm going to give you this information. I'm going to give you this information. I'm going to give you this information. It's like, shut up and tell me the information. I get
right,
that this is an audio book, but like, what are you doing? Someone's holding the book that's like this thick, as thick as my glasses, and you're just going to talk, 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 talk. And I'm like, you either have information to
right.
tell or you
You either
just
have
like
the
really
information or
good
you
at
don't.
like
Yeah.
filibustering. And it's like, I know like the problem with self-help or like the challenge in it is like you can continually sell people on the idea that something is wrong with them. And like, yes, you need to work on your skills as a person. You need to constantly improve yourself. But if every book is always selling you on the idea of like, you just don't have it until you get my book and you get this thing. And it's like, hey, that's the system that we learn where it's like, okay, what do? You can teach someone something. You can like the quick click funnels. I mean, those work where it's like, okay, if you want to know how to create something, I can show you how to do it. You follow it step by step. How-to videos, best thing on YouTube. Those work. If you want to know how to do a push-up, if you want to know how to iron your shirt, if you want to know how to cut fruit, cook rice, cook chicken, and cook eggs, like all those videos are great. But then it's like you go from that to where it's this sociological, psychological thing where it's like it went psychology used to be a degree that didn't really make money, but then
Mhm.
all of a sudden it's like you have this hard shift where mental health, everybody needs to know about it. And it's like it has been something that's helpful where I'm like, okay, I need to be honest about where I'm at, try to express that and talk through it one on one, but also be aware that the person that I'm communicating with, this can't be a thing where I'm coming in saying the same thing over and over and they're not like, okay, here's a time frame. We want to get from here to here. Let's set goals and get you out of the door. Let's not make this just like a long drawn out thing where it's like you constantly just come and you just blah 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 and nothing changes and I just keep egging you on and encouraging you to do that. But like luckily I haven't really run into that. But to your point, it's like you have people that are able to get away with things based on they have this perceived sense of I'm an expert. Like as soon as you can claim you're an expert or something is original to you, if you have marketing behind it, if people
Oh
see
man,
you on a platform, they're like, that's the one. And as
yeah,
soon as like this guy, I think it's the most recent one that I saw was about a gentleman, Eric Weinstein, and it's like him and his brother. He's supposed to be like a big mathematician or something, and he went on like the Pierce Morgan show, and he's starting to have this debate with this other gentleman that's supposed to be a scientist, and he wrote this paper that's supposed to be a theory about everything, and he releases it on like April 1st. The guy read his paper and he's kind of critiquing it, giving it a breakdown. He's like, "How dare you?" And he's like, "How dare I read your work?" Like,
that's what
what
you
are,
put it up for, though,
what are
right?
we talking about? And it's like this guy goes on the like biggest gaslight campaign where it's like he starts going with like insults about this, that, and the other, and it's like that has nothing to do with science. This has nothing. You're like you're not rebutting his points. You're making personal attacks. But it's like without somebody taking the time to like put it in a video and be like, hey, this is what's going on. This is why this guy gets on platforms and says things, but never makes a point. It's like, oh, like I was kind of around thinking, oh, okay, like Jordan Peterson maybe had dinner with this guy or they started the intellectual dark web. But like I know Peterson has had his criticisms recently, but for me, the thing I was like, okay, I watched a couple 3 hour long podcast episodes, but then finally I was like, let me try out this thing that he has, which was the self authoring program, where it's like, okay, you gave me a rubric that you and professors came with together. I can work on my past, I can work on my present, and I can work on my future. And like with the future thing, I made it a this was around the podcast time where it was like, let me write down goals of where I want to be in 6 months, a year, 2 years. And it's like with everything that I followed, that's always what he would point back to. And I'm like, okay, I used it. Here's where I got, I set a goal of where I wanted to be in 2 years and I got there. And then in kind of trying to like revisit it and trying to go through things, I'm like, okay, at least what I found to work for me is if I have something tangible that works that I can apply, I can match one with one and kind of work my way down. That works for me. Like otherwise, like people going on like word salad, trying to be philosophers and this and that. It's like,
So eh, it goes back to I think the thing that we talked about earlier, where when you are given significance,
mhm,
like the human need is being like fed, like, oh my, like, oh, I'm significant to this group, now I have to continuously churn out content about this said thing.
mhm,
I think it blurs the judgment of being able to give substance
mhm,
versus regurgitated information, because it's like, if it was the if it's one day that you were cooking for this group and they thought that your soup was amazing, you're gonna keep remixing that same soup because you're still gonna want that validation from, like, oh, you're a good cook. No, I'm not a great cook. I just kept adding the same soup to everything else that I'm making,
yeah,
and it's like, oh, okay. But the ideas that are being shared, even in just wherever, is like, concepts are cool, but then like you try them and you're like, this don't work. This doesn't. It's never worked for anybody. But like the greatest scammers of, hey, listen, if you give me this, I guarantee you results. Okay, I'm gonna give. Well, you didn't pray hard enough.
mhm,
Your faith wasn't strong enough, and that's why you don't have it. It's not my stuff. No, it's your faith is weak. Your
yeah.
prayers are terrible, and God don't love you. So
That's just wrong.
so it's like, let me keep regurgitating on, I'm gonna sell you hope
Mhm,
because I can't control how much hope I sell you, but I can say that you don't have enough. I'm gonna sell you hope. I'm gonna sell you a possibility. I'm gonna sell you then I'm gonna uh poke on your the not good enough button in your life
yeah,
wherever. Uh, so I'm gonna keep poking that and selling you hope. I'm gonna keep poking that. I'm gonna keep selling you hope, and that's the formula. And
yeah,
it's like, well, if I did it, you should be able to do it. If we're all different, how am I supposed to do something that you did? Oh, well, if I got through this situation, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to. Sorry, like, you started your business out of starvation. Like,
mhm,
your motivation was to never be poor again, or your whole thing started from a traumatic standpoint, and now you're trying to sell me the same packaged trauma for me to operate from. It's like, I didn't experience what you experienced, so I don't have the same stimuli trying to get me to what I'm trying to get to.
yeah,
Well, then you're just not hustling enough. It's like, bro, it's like, we're immigrants. I'm an immigrant. I,
mhm,
I can't I can't I can't tell you, I can't tell somebody who was born in a place that I immigrated to that they need to have a more get up. They need to have an immigrant mindset. They can't even conjure up an experience that would put them in that position.
mhm,
So the stimulus is going to be different. But then it's like, for me to tell them that they are weak and worthless because they can't achieve a result, it's like, that's weird to me. And so it's like, I'm gonna keep poking on, you're not good enough.
mhm,
Keep trying to sell you this, keep trying to sell you hope, and that works. And there are more people looking for hope, and who are easily triggered by the not good enough button, that will keep those people rich.
yeah,
And that's the cycle. Like, you see it in, personal development. You see it in churches. You see it in everywhere you look. Like, if you want women, you got to look like this.
mhm,
If you want men, you got to, look like this. I'm gonna poke on you're not good enough, and then I'm gonna try to sell your product at the end. And the books that are personal development related are just like that. Like it's been a minute since I've read a book that is marketed as personal development, but was nothing about personal development. It was a story, or it was information that was like, um, I think the last book was the emotional inheritance. It was a psychotherapist who wrote a book about some of her client stories and where they came from and how, you know, how they recognize. So it wasn't like trying to sell you. I'm telling you what people have experienced, and you can derive whatever you want from there.
Yeah.
And that was a really good book, because it just made things come to life. But most other self development books or self help books, I'm just like, here we go,
Yeah.
another regurgitated, and I love how Mel Robbins started. Like this idea, this theory is I came up with. No, you didn't. You rebranded it.
Right.
Like you didn't come up with this sound, but it
I
sounds
guess
good.
the thing that's interesting with that most recent one is that even seeing it in podcast form where you see like the promotion of it, where things are more in your face, like you remember before when you have fewer channels and fewer things, it's like certain things are
Mhm,
gate kept, but you see it maybe more so with comedians, or like if you follow a certain person, you'll notice that they start to do
mhm.
like they hit like during the election, I think the candidates were going to comedians podcasts, or
Yeah.
like Trump was going to all the UFC events and he did like Theo Vaughn, and then he sat down with Rogan and Schultz and this. And it's like, okay, you hear them literally lay out, hey, here is how we're going to win together. Like you go with this person, you go with that person, you go with that person. And it's like, hey, that's a system, that's a formula that works. Even if like the comedy special, the presentation, if it's bad, like people still promote and they're like, hey, this is my friend, this is the thing. But I guess that's maybe part of the reason why I like the person that's like giving the opposite take, even if the person, people get so mad where they're like, oh, this person's not on my level. They start going to like personal attacks where it's like, this one is counteracting what you're saying, but instead of trying to strengthen your argument,
You're going
you
on a personal attack
right,
rampage.
you're going on personal attack, and it's like they're so I don't know if it's like they're so offended that someone would even step to them to where they're just like, you're not in my level, you're not in this. Like for me, I watch a lot of mixed martial arts, so like I see what the people that are trained journalists, they present a story, or they'll go to these press conferences and they'll ask the same questions. Like the UFC is the main organization, so it's like everyone goes there because that's what does numbers. They can maybe cover a local league that's like, okay, this is in Georgia or this is in this country, and someone that's from there, because it's like so small, like they have an audience. But then um if you follow a story from the UFC, it's almost like everybody's doing the same exact thing. And
Yeah.
since you have like more people that can have access to it, you can watch this person recording an interview. Like you see the same person answering the same questions from like 10 different channels. And
Right.
then you have this other guy out of England, MMA Guru. He's like a younger guy, I think maybe like 26 now. And he's been working at it for 7 years. And basically his thing was like, I really don't like the takes that these people have. It's almost like they're all on the take, or they all just like toe the company line. It's like, oh, we've got to run cover for this person, and like we're arguing that this person's the greatest fighter of all time, and he's been stripped of the belt for cheating, for hitting someone, hitting a pregnant lady while doing cocaine. He's doing this, doing that. Like yesterday he was the world's biggest villain, and then today everybody's over here like he's the greatest of all time. It's like, yeah, in the cage he fights well, but if it's martial arts, part of that is how
Is
you
the
carry yourself. Like
it's
we
the other things outside of, yeah, yeah,
right,
yeah.
but it's one of those things where it's like, one thing that always remains true is if you're trying to figure out what's going on, follow the money.
Yeah,
Like
oh yeah. Oh my
this
God.
person's putting out something bad. It's like, oh, are they getting paid? Is this
Yes.
other person benefiting from it? It's like, oh, it's
That
about the
makes
money.
sense. Yeah, like it's business.
It's not about the context, it's not about the argument as much as they're gonna tell you this, that, and the other. It's like they're just moving money around. It's
Yeah.
like
It's like
that's what it
whatever
is at
is
the end of the
irritate,
day.
like what irritates is whatever point irritates is what point makes money.
Right,
Right.
right.
All these I mean, the whole myth behind not myth, the whole fact behind clickbait
Mhm,
is so that you watch something in its entirety and never get to the you never get you never get the results that you promised
mhm,
because they click you into it. But it's like I feel like hmm, personal development is a lot of clickbait to the answer that you never get. But it's
mhm,
like there's some personal development that works short term, and those are great. Those practical things are great. Even therapy is the same way. Like therapy is not made to be forever. Like you go
right.
to therapy, you figure something out, and you work through it. You struggle through it. You build the muscle to it. But like more people who continuously like they check the box like, oh, I did that, I should be getting this result. Like even on social media, it's like it's easy to become famous. Like I say this with Theo's confidence.
Mhm.
Hey,
Yeah, that's a high confidence.
hey, listen, we are here. Like it's easy to become famous when you don't necessarily have a point to prove.
Mhm,
And it's easy to become famous like when like I can I can I don't have to believe in whatever I'm saying, right? And I can try to sell you this pen. I will dog every other pen. I will make sure that, but I don't have to use it, but I'm
mhm,
trying to make money off of it. So I'm going to start attacking those "you're not good enough" buttons.
mhm,
If I attack enough of those things, my pen's gonna sell because I'm gonna hit as many, irritate you as much as possible. Something about the human brain. I can't remember who said this, but is it keeps wanting to prove itself.
mhm,
So that's why narcissism works so well as a theory, and that's why it works so well in sales. That's why it works so well in politics. Is the more I tell you that you're not good enough, the more you're gonna try to prove me wrong,
mhm,
and the more you're gonna stick around. And then eventually I'm gonna get to the point where I discard you, and then you're gonna be like, okay, well, what's wrong with me? Well, why did they have to discard me? No. I want to be in that program. No, I want to be in that. No, I want to do that. No, I want to buy that to prove that I. So it's like that. The vicious cycle is like it's almost like somebody engineered this whole entire system. Oh my god, right? But it's like you think about it, it's like being rejected is possibly one of the biggest human fears, but it's like rejection makes money when people, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna prove you wrong. It's like you don't have to, but it's like if I go and try to like I don't have to be perfect. In fact, the worse I am, the better money I'll probably make.
mhm,
um because I don't have anything to sell. Like I even I've thought about this. Delete all my social media. Asher, I'm gonna tell you how to gain 1,000 million followers in 6 months. All right. And this is and this is my introduction to social media course. You can buy it if you want. Click the link below. I'm going to tell you how to do it. All right. So here's what you do. You go and you delete all your social media immediately. You delete all of it. You give it about 6 months. You come back as somebody completely different. You change everything. You come, but you sell a product that you don't believe in. You pick a point and you stick your guns to it. You make content that is strictly agitating the opposite of what you're selling. The more negative reviews, the better. because negative comments generate money. So you come in and you look at the market and you say, you know what? Because I've seen people do this, I'm going to be all about God. And anything that is not church related, I'm going to demonize.
Mm.
Oh, man. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to go to church. You've just been around church enough to know what to say, how to say it, the lingo to use. You know enough scripture. You don't have to. You just do personal attacks anytime somebody questions your point about any scripture that you're completely wrong in. And all of a sudden, you're this martyr. All of a sudden, you're so, and the opposite is true. Oh, I'm going to come back on social media and debunk as much Christian myth as possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I just have to pick a struggle and stick to it.
Yeah.
And you literally gain fame that way. Well, but the trick is to keep yourself tethered to truly who you are, not what you're presenting. Because what tends to happen is that most people forget that they're faking it and actually start to go into that route.
Mm.
And then when they meet people in real life and get punched in the face, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, that's not what I meant. I didn't mean that." And so,
It's a
but
prank, bro. It's a prank.
yeah, it's a prank. But to the earlier point about like even being in jiu-jitsu, it's like getting punched in the face or getting, choked out feels different in theory than when it's in real life. It's like it doesn't matter how many times the instructor goes through a move that seems so easy. The minute you are literally like suffocated and being
Mm.
choked, you forget and you go survival and you start tapping. It's like, bro, you just spent 3 weeks working on that one single move that you couldn't perform.
Mm.
What happened? Yeah, I got punched in the face. Life happened. And now it's like, oh man. So it's like most people have never been punched in the face, or else they won't be on a mic talking stuff, right? And so it's like it's easier to talk about something that you have no attachment to than actually like be genuine about just whatever. My phone's about to die too.
Yeah,
Um,
no problem. I
yeah,
think that
but
that's probably a good place to end it there.
yeah,
But I really like what you said because it from our last conversation to this one, it really brought it together. And I think the older we get to see things. And I guess to your point, it's you do have people I want to say that make honest um forays into like an area that they want to open up, whether it's self-help, whether it's science, politics, something else. But I guess I don't know if I'd say either narcissism or negativity, like sells, wins, whatever kind of move the needle, grabs people's attention because it's like, hey, if this is the thing that's popular, if it's what's on the front page, it grabs you, it hooks you, it kind of like seduces you in. Like you get that vibration, you just get on that high. And I mean people start feeling themselves. And it's one of those things where it's like no one's above it per se, but the more and more we see it, the older you get, and you've kind of seen the same tricks over and over. It's like, okay, well, I think at the end of the day, we have an option to be like, okay, well, I'm going to go along for the ride, make it be fun, or I'm going to see what it is. And before I fly off the handle, maybe like gather myself and be like, this really isn't worth my time. Like, I don't have to ride this ride. I can take the next bus or just kind of sit here, take a walk, go do something else.
no, that's my truest confession right now, Asher, is this. The only reason why I don't have an OnlyFans selling my feet is not because there's a moral compass judgment. No, it's because I don't know how to create the content that would be able to sell. Okay, that's the only reason why I don't have an OnlyFans account right now is because I don't have a system to funnel that through to where I I I I, I haven't done my research. It's not for morality's sake. I don't
Mm,
I don't care about that. Like I really don't. But my feet, yo, they're ugly enough to make money. I just don't know. I just don't know how to monetize it.
I'll take
And
your
I'm
word for
mad.
it.
I am mad that I don't know. And I'm mad that I haven't, made the time to figure this out. Because it's like the the clips that I've seen of people doing the dumbest things that are making, supposedly making a lot of money is ridiculous. I'm like, there's no reason why somebody, you know, selling farts in a jar is making way more money than I am. Like, this is ridiculous. This is wild. But it's, that's what they're presenting. But I'm just like, how?
Yeah.
But then, I'm like, yeah, you don't have to be strongly tied to whatever you're selling. It's just as long as you can sell it to make money, you're good. And I'm like, yeah, I got to figure out this whole feet thing. I know that's not how you want this podcast to end, but I'm just saying, stick to the end about my OnlyFans account.
Hey, we all have to have goals in life. So as we keep going, I think
Yeah,
this is a great end to the podcast and a good wishing you a good week
I
and
appreciate
until
that.
we catch up again, man, for sure. Keep
Absolutely.
sending the memes. I'm enjoying them. If I don't
Thank
have
you.
time for them, I'll
That's
just pass.
okay.
I don't have I don't
Hey,
have to consume it. It's like I could
just
be,
consume the most two recent ones, and you'll be all
yep,
right.
yep.
To me, that works.
Appreciate you, Theo.
Always, bro.
Take care.
All right, you too, man.